twice as nice today, ladies and gentlemen, so let's read through Chapter 4 of Centuria together. I promise not to take up too much of your time yapping in this video, so I'll keep today's question short and sweet for you. How are you guys doing? How are y'all? How is life going for y'all? Obviously, I hope it's going well for every single person watching this video, and then some, and just let me know how you're doing in the comments below. I'll definitely be reading your replies. I'll try to respond to as many people as I can. So let's dive in. No more yapping. Centuria, Chapter 4. Here we go. The chapter begins with a flashback to when Julian was still living at the blacksmith compound, and the opening tagline says, "A time when he wasn't even treated as a person." And we see Julian clutch his left shoulder, which has a cut across it, as his blacksmith master speaks in dialogue with another man just outside. "I told you not to get a child slave," the other man says. "It's fine. I'll dispose of him once he's no longer useful," replies the blacksmith. "Haha, that's fucked up." "What? No, it's kindness. The boy was sold off to me by his own mother. He's hit the kind of rock bottom no one can escape from, regardless of how much effort they make to do so. I'd be doing him a favor. If he can't ever live a normal life, he's better off dead." Heartless, cruel, and demonstrating a clear lack of regard for human life are the words spoken by this man. He says them with a cold smile crossing his face. Fast forward to the present, where Julian, left scarred from his fight with the Leviathan, makes a declaration to Engvall. "I want to find work. For these past 6 months, I've relied on you too heavily. It's time for me to earn some money. After all, how else will I repay you and save for Diana's future?" And Julian's earnest eagerness brings a smile to Engvall's face, who replies, "Very well. There's a nearby village. Why don't we ask around there?" Julian and Diana, alongside Engvall and TT, begin their venture across the mountainous plains, making their way through the trees as the trio approached the village. And a male representative of the village is there to greet them, but his response is anything but welcoming. "We don't need incompetent brats who can't pull their weight. You'd burden and inconvenience all of us in the village." Julian begs the man, "Please, sir, I swear I can work. Anything you've got, I'll take it." And the man replies harshly, "You don't look like you're cut out for this job. And quite frankly, we don't blindly offer trust to outsiders. Prove that you won't drag us down first." And Julian asks, "How? How do you expect me to do that?" So the man leads Julian and his party, followed by the rest of the villagers, to a cave within the side of the mountain. One entry is blocked on the left side, completely closed off by rock and debris. And the man turns to Julian, saying, "This cave is where we mine for iron. Observe the entry on the left. Notice how it's collapsed in and blocked off? Your task is to remove every last boulder blocking the opening. Do that within a day, and we'll agree to take you on as an employee. Luckily for you, it's only 10 meters deep. But do keep in mind, the boulders get larger the deeper you descend the cavern." Now, Engvall is the first to interject, and her voice echoes through her suit of armor. "That's ridiculous. Not even an adult could remove every last boulder, and you expect a child to? You're being far too rough on the boy." The man pauses, letting Engvall's words sink in as he glances coldly over at Julian. "Well, no one's forcing him to do it." Julian's expression hardens, and a strong resolve begins to flood into his nerves. "I will do it." And with that, our boy begins his training arc. And quickly, the first boulder goes down, fairly easy for Julian, to which the man states dryly, "That's one down." Julian thinks to himself, "This is a piece of cake. I can keep this up. I can do this." And we skip forward several boulders, where Julian is screaming stressfully, struggling to heave a rock half his size over his back. And we can see right here that he's in a very distressed state, and that the toll of this task is weighing down heavy on him. And Julian pants heavily as the boulder slams to the ground, gasping for air. "You've cleared a little over half now," the representative observes. We see Julian continue working tirelessly, a massive disc-shaped rock, a sack full of heavy stones, among other boulders carried out of the cavern. Julian collapses. "I can't move my hands or legs," he thinks to himself. "Damn it!" Julian locks eyes with Diana, who smiles at him in Engvall's arms, extending her hand out to him in a loving gesture. She hums a few soft, unintelligible words to Julian. "Ooga, ubu." It's enough to make my man lock in. He gets to his feet in a hurry and quickly repacks his sack full of the scattered stones on the ground. He tosses it over his back, beginning to crawl with all of his might back into the cave's entrance, grunting and groaning as TT watches on with concern. Julian. Julian monologues to himself silently in the pitch black of the cavern. What the hell am I doing? Do I really need to work until I'm crawling around on my hands and knees? This is tiring. And the world of the cave begins to fade out from around him when suddenly an arm grasps him from behind, yanking him out of his thoughts abruptly. And Julian turns around to find himself face to face with all 100 slaves killed aboard the slave trade vessel. And leading them is the hard-headed man himself, who encourages Julian. Use us, Julian. Let us give you a hand. It'll be no sweat that way. And Julian looks at Mira, his power beginning to surge, and we see Julian back at the ocean as the slave kneels down in front of him. And I believe this scene we're seeing is a realm inside of Julian himself, where he's able to communicate with all 100 of his lives individually or as a collective. He is no longer in the cave, and his fist clenches. He begins a dialogue. Whenever I'm in a bind, someone always saves me. I've never been able to do anything with my own strength. Like back on the ship. Damn it. I'm just a kid who's kept alive by the efforts and sacrifices of others. Don't go easy on me, please. How could I ever bring you peace if I can't be trusted to handle myself? And Julian recalls Mira saying, Julian, I leave your new sibling in your care, okay? Julian continues, rising to his spaghetti noodle legs. I have a promise to fulfill, so I'm gonna handle this alone. The hard-headed man smiles, impressed by Julian's dedication. Mira watches on with concern while the old man crosses his arms in surprise. Julian makes a declaration of independence. There's no meaning to this whole thing if I don't see it through myself. We see a determined Julian continue, against all odds, to remove each boulder from the cave one by one, slowly freeing up storage in the iron mine. A couple from the village observes the boy with troubled expressions of concern. The male says, Hey, hasn't the boy done enough? Come on, someone please stop him. And the female adds, Poor thing, he's only just a kid. He's running himself utterly ragged. They step forward as if to help, but Engvall holds out a hand, barricading the couple from going any further and interfering, ordering them, You're the ones who started this. Just shut up and watch. As the sun sets over the village, sinking down behind the trees in the mountainscape, the village, chief among them the male representative who greeted them before, stares in shock as Julian stands tall amidst the rubble of dozens of boulders behind him. His clothes are worn, stress and dirt covering his arms as sweat cascades down his face. That's it, every last one of them. In an admission of defeat, the male representative presents Julian with a bag of coins, offering an apology. I was wrong. You're more than qualified to work. Please accept this as compensation. The man bows graciously, and this moment put a huge smile on my face when I read it. From here on out, you're a fellow worker. We'll be glad to have you. And Julian smiles, gratefully accepting the man's olive branch. We cut away back to Engvall's cabin on the edge of the forest, where Julian takes the robe he acquired from Mira before her demise, the cloth he'd cradled Diana in while sailing in his raft, and he lays it in a hole he's dug up in the dirt. Julian closes the hill with more soil, patting it down neatly before placing a memorial cross in the mount of dirt. He bows his head in remembrance, folding his hands over Mira's gravesite. Mira, it's me, he whispers as his eyes open. Please rest in peace and watch over us. Inside, we see Julian call for his family, a shocked expression on his face. Engvall, Titi, look! Diana is on the floor, on her hands and knees, crawling for the very first time in her life, making happy, unintelligible squeals as she smiles up at Julian. Wow, she's crawling, cries Titi. Whoa, exclaims the shocked Engvall. Titi jokes, You're amazing, Diana. You're better at crawling than Julian. And Julian responds with a sarcastic laugh. Ha ha ha, you're brutal, Titi. And Engvall kind of just teehees in response. And Julian says in faux annoyance, Not you too, Engvall. And the vibes are just wholesome all around. Everybody's laughing and happy, and it's a great time. And Engvall answers, Haha, sorry, it was just so savage it startled me to laughter, and you were working so hard, too. Julian thinks to himself with one of the signature Japanese anger marks on his head. Kicking someone already down. The closing tagline to this chapter reads, Together, they collect little moments of happiness as Julian holds Diana to the end. Now, I hope I'm not alone in saying that this chapter had me grinning from ear to ear the entire time. I've been saying it this whole time. Julian has got that dog in him. Let's go. And it always makes me happy to see him beat the odds. That's some world champion material shit right there. And Julian's tenacity honestly reminds me a lot of Asta, his never give up mentality, taking obviously a darker twist in this story, as instead of some noble goal like becoming the Wizard King, Julian is instead just trying to fulfill what Mira asked him to do, to take care of Diana, who he cares for deeply. He wants to help raise his dead companions, who he believes to truly be his mother's child, his new baby sister. And we even saw that dedication play out towards the end of the chapter, where Diana became Julian's driving force for being able to complete his task of removing every last boulder within 10 meters of that cave. Julian is a family man, and we absolutely love to see that. One of the most goated protagonists in all of manga right now. Now, I mentioned in the last video that we didn't get to see a lot of dialogue between TT and Julian when I was talking about Julian discovering the true purpose and meaning of family. However, as of this chapter, I can kind of see this story, with how it's gone so far, going down a path of romance in terms of Julian and TT's relationship, especially with how she was teasing him towards the end of the chapter. I just think that that's the most likely way that they're going to go about this. Obviously, they are showing Julian the concept of family. Eventually, he has to learn about romance too. And I feel like this is going to be the catalyst for that relationship down the road. So, do you agree with me? Do you think that this relationship seems to be heading in that direction? Let me know all of your thoughts and theories, not just on that, but on the series in general in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed the video and the series thus far. I am super enthralled with this series. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for tuning in. As always, God bless you guys, and have a wonderful day.